The animations presented here are based on my personal interpretation of the available evidence and witness testimony. They are the result of several years of research and interest, drawing from publicly available interviews, podcast appearances, official reports, and investigative documents, including the Bigelow Aerospace Advanced Space Studies report. Those primary interviews and reports used to create this reconstruction are linked in the description below. Please note that these animations are simplified illustrations, not intended to be perfectly to scale. Distances, object sizes, altitudes, speeds, and timing have been adjusted where necessary to communicate the events clearly while preserving what I believe to be the overall geography, sequence, and relationships between the participants. Where multiple accounts describe the same event with minor differences, I occasionally normalize certain details to create a single, coherent visualization of the overall sequence of events. In some cases, even the same witness has described an event slightly differently over the course of more than 20 years. Those variations are a natural consequence of human memory and should be expected. Approximately 100 miles southwest of San Diego, California, the USS Nimitz Carrier Strike Group was conducting routine pre-deployment training exercises in the U.S. Navy's Southern California training range, known as Warning Area Whiskey 291, before an upcoming deployment to the Persian Gulf.
This is the beginning of workups where we're trying to put all the pieces of the battle group together from the unit level training and try and create that cohesive unit that's actually going to deploy to the Middle East.
At the center of the formation was the nuclear-powered aircraft carrier, the USS Nimitz, accompanied by the USS Princeton, a Ticonderoga-class guided missile cruiser whose advanced Aegis combat system and AN/Spy-1 phased array radar provided long-range air surveillance and battle management for the entire strike group. Around them, Navy pilots flew intercepts, combat air patrols, and air defense scenarios, routine workups designed to prepare the carrier group for real-world operations. For the sailors and aviators on board, it was expected to be another ordinary day at sea. Positioned approximately 65 miles off the Southern California coast, roughly halfway between San Diego and Ensenada, Mexico, the Carrier Strike Group continued its routine training operations.
We're between San Diego and Ensenada, Mexico. Going out, and you figure the ship is probably, 60, 70 miles. It's in the Whiskey area off the coast.
But beginning around November 10th and continuing over several days, operators aboard the Princeton repeatedly tracked groups of unusual radar contacts. According to Kevin Day, Senior Chief Operations Specialist, the objects typically appeared in groups, descending from higher altitudes before stabilizing at approximately 20,000 feet and drifting southward at around 100 knots. The tracks were reportedly first detected east of Catalina and San Clemente Islands, and, over a number of hours, continued south toward the vicinity of Guadalupe Island, consistently passing east of the Princeton, between the cruiser and the California coastline.
To the best of my memory, when I first picked them up, it was on the 10th of November 2004 when I detected the first group, and they went away. Another watch or two, as I'm watching, the same formation appeared again. Over the course of 3-4 days, probably counted groups of 5 to 10 at a time. There were probably 50, 60 tracks by then. Maybe they were the same objects repeating the cycle, or maybe they were different objects, we don't know.
How long did you track one individual for?
100 knots, it's probably, 250 miles, a couple hours.
I started to notice these weird tracks that were popping onto my radar coverage right about San Clemente Island. They were appearing in groups of 5 to 10 at a time. They were pretty closely spaced to each other, and they were 28,000 feet going 100 knots tracking south. You're looking at your scope, you got north and then you got south. If you can imagine snowflakes slowly falling through the sky like that, that's kind of the way they appeared and tracked towards the south.
How spaced out were they in this group?
A number of miles, probably 5 miles, if I had to guess. But
Yeah.
it wasn't like 100 miles apart. It was a pretty tight group. They stayed same relative positions to each other the entire time. They all appeared just off the coast of Catalina Island, and they tracked past us between us and the mainland, and they all disappeared off my scope in the same point in the sky, right above Guadalupe Island.
They traveled from Catalina to Guadalupe, and they passed between your group, as the Princeton, and the mainland.
That's correct, yep.
According to Day, the contacts first appeared on his air defense radar at roughly 28,000 feet. In interviews, Day clarifies that he did not personally observe the objects descending from extreme altitude. explaining that the higher altitude portion of the track was something he learned after the incident from personnel associated with the Ballistic Missile Defense Unit. Those personnel reportedly told him the objects had been tracked descending from above 80,000 feet, what Day later described as coming from space. He also explained that his own radar display was configured for the lower altitude air defense mission, while higher altitude tracking fell outside his area of responsibility.
The reason why I say they were weird is because our ballistic missile defense guys was tracking these things coming down from outer space. I found out later that wasn't the view that I had on my radar. I'm more concerned with 30,000 feet and below. We had our ballistic missile defense guys tracking these things coming from space.
You said the ballistic missiles defense guys were tracking them coming from space. Was this something that you were aware of at the time?
No, I was not. It was not my focus, and it wasn't where my head was at that time.
How did you find out about this ballistic missile
Later on.
defense?
Yeah, in the next couple of days, talking to the guys on the ships.
A similar account appears in a report produced by Bigelow Aerospace Advanced Space Studies under contract to the Defense Intelligence Agency. That report cites Senior Chief Blila, an Aegis fire control operator who stated that the contacts descended into the AN-SPY-1 radar scan volume from above 60,000 feet and exhibited ballistic missile characteristics in their appearance, velocity, and radar indications. Blila further suggested that because the radar was configured for conventional air defense operations rather than ballistic missile tracking, the contacts were difficult to maintain as stable tracks. The BASS report then performs engineering calculations, estimating the extreme speeds and accelerations that would be required if an object descended from approximately 60,000 feet to near sea level in only a few seconds. On the morning of November 14, 2004, Senior Chief Day, aboard the Princeton, was supervising the ship's air defense watch as another routine training cycle got underway. As had been the case for the previous 10 days, the SPY-1 radar was again tracking multiple unknown contacts drifting south at approximately 100 knots. Two FA-18C Hornets from the VMFA-232 Red Devils launched from the Nimitz to serve as the day's opposing force, or Red Air, proceeding toward their assigned combat air patrol station.
And our cap is 40 miles south of the ship, and the Red Air, which is the Marines, they're going about 100 miles south of the ship. So the Marines actually get off first. We don't hear it. They check in with Red Crown, which is the cruiser, just, hey, we're getting all our checks for our IFF and stuff, and they're going to go south.
As the first Hornets departed the Nimitz, Senior Chief Day received authorization for the Princeton to assume tactical control of the fighters from the E-2C Hawkeye for intercept and identification. Rather than allowing the day's training to proceed as planned, the Princeton would instead vector the next available fighters toward one of the anomalous radar contacts.
And the Princeton is actually the controlling ship. They immediately came and said, hey, Dealer 1-1, we're going to cancel training, rear world vector, and they start sending us out to the west. So somewhere like 260, 270 out to the west, our current position. We're south of the ship, so we're going out.
Talk about these groups, like, because you said you vectored out Commander Fravor to one of them. Now, was that part of a group?
Yeah, it was part of a group.
Meanwhile, Marine Aviator Major Douglas Cheeks Kurth launched alone in a single-seat FA-18C to conduct a functional check flight on an aircraft that had recently completed significant maintenance. About 30 minutes into the flight, his controller unexpectedly directed him toward one of the unidentified radar contacts. As Kurth approached the area, he was informed that other fighters had been reassigned to the Intercept and was instructed to skip it and return to his designated operating area. Since he was already close, Kurth elected to swing past the location before turning back toward the carrier.
I'm getting ready to launch on an air-to-air. It's one of the early goes, and we're going against the Marines. So 232 had Little Hornets. So for those who don't know, Little Hornets have a lot less gas, about 30% less gas than the Big Hornets, and we're going south.
Looking down, he observed a patch of disturbed water, roughly 50 to 100 meters across, standing out against an otherwise calm sea. He later described it as resembling the turbulent water left behind by something rapidly submerging beneath the surface. However, he never observed the TicTac object itself, nor did he see the other fighter aircraft reportedly investigating the area. As he departed, the disturbance quickly dissipated until nothing unusual remained visible. While Major Kurth headed toward the reported contact area, Commander David Fravor launched from the Nimitz in the lead FA-18F. A short time later, Lieutenant Alex Dietrich followed with her crew. As the fighters proceeded toward their assigned operating area, the Princeton redirected them from the scheduled exercise and began vectoring them toward one of the unidentified radar contacts using continuous bearing, range, and altitude updates, or BRA calls.
So we're going further out to the west. So they start giving us the BRA calls, which is bearing, range, and altitude for this thing. And as they're doing it, they're talking to us to say, we got this object we want you to check out. We've been tracking these things for 2 weeks. So we're like, okay. So we go out, we're doing this because we had APG-73s. I got Alex. I just tell her to move in, so I pull her out a spread. So she's kind of hanging out on the left side, and we're driving out.
Guided by continuous BRA calls from the Princeton, the Black Aces closed on the assigned intercept.
And they showed up in groups?
Groups of 5 to 10 each.
Were they always in groups, or were they sometimes individually?
Always in groups. In fact, the only time they ever broke formation was when Commander Fravor intercepted one of them. And that one that he intercepted, I drove him to the point in the sky at 28,000 feet. And as soon as he got what we call the merge plot position, as soon as he was at that point in the sky, this object went from 28,000 feet down to the surface of the ocean. And I found out the next day in 0.78 seconds.
As the fighters approached, radar controllers announced merge plot, indicating that the unknown radar contact and the fighters had merged into a single radar return on the Princeton's radar display, suggesting visual contact could be imminent.
3, 2, 1, then they get to merge plot. So we have joined now. The same blips have become one. We're in the same radar resolution cell, which of one of the best radars on the planet, and they can't see it. So as we're looking out, they call merge plot. We start doing the Stevie Wonder. We're looking around because we know it's right by us.
Looking below, both crews noticed an area of turbulent, foaming water, as though something large had just submerged beneath the surface.
And as we look off the right side, we see whitewater. And this is literally, if you've been on the West Coast, this is the perfect day. There's no white caps. It's a clear blue sky, no clouds, no waves. So we look down and we see this whitewater. So the whitewater it's about the shape of a 737. It's about the size of a 737. And there's something underneath the water that's causing the waves to break, like a seamount. So that's what we think.
Hovering above the disturbance was an unusual object unlike any conventional aircraft. Later described as smooth, solid white, estimated to be approximately 40 feet in length, with no wings, tail, exhaust plume, or visible control surfaces. Its shape similar to a giant TicTac candy.
Well, as we're looking down at the whitewater, because this is the only reason we looked, we saw the whitewater and it was the only thing out there. We see this white TicTac. The TicTac's pointing north-south, so it's pointing towards 12 o'clock. And I'm going to do it like this, and it's going up and, it's going back and forth. So it's level along the water like this. I'm just doing it so you can see it. It's doing this. It'll go this. And think of it as, so the airplane's kind of pointing to the east. So you got that wing down to the south. You got a wing up to the north. So just think of a cross, whatever you want to call it. But it's that shape. So it's just kind of going up and down. It goes up over the fuselage, drops down over the wing, goes left and right over the wing, then pops. And there's no inertia. And this thing's right above the water. And we're driving around. So now we're at 6 o'clock watching it, and we're just driving around. We're about 20,000 feet, about 300 knots, because that's corner speed for the airplane, which means I have full maneuverability.
Following standard intercept tactics, Lieutenant Dietrich remained at higher altitude to provide top cover, while Commander Fravor descended for a closer visual identification.
And about 9 o'clock, I said, I'm going to go check that out. And Cohen comes up. She's the pilot of the other airplane. She says, hey, we're just going to stay up high. I said, cool. Great plan, gives us a little bit of separation, and you can watch me go down there and figure out what this thing is, because we don't know what it is.
Fravor initiated a descending clockwise orbit around the object, tightening the turn as he spiraled downward. To his surprise, the object immediately reacted. As Fravor descended, it climbed. As he continued his orbit, the object matched his turn from below, effectively creating a two-circle engagement with both aircraft rotating around a common center. The object appeared to mirror Fravor's every maneuver. Sensing an opportunity to close the distance, Fravor increased his turn rate and cut across the circle in an attempt to gain a positional advantage. Before he could complete the maneuver, the object abruptly accelerated and disappeared from view, vanishing in what the pilots described as less than a second.
So I start descending at the 9 o'clock, and I get to the 12 o'clock position, so now I'm probably down 18,000 feet. It's just that nice, easy descent. And as I get to 12 o'clock, the TicTac, and it just goes bam, and it just starts coming up at me. Instantaneously just starts matching me. And I told Noodlin that he was in the trunk, well, it knows we're here. And I just started kind of circling down nice and easy. So we go all the way around the circle and we get over to about the 8 o'clock position. It's probably around 12,000 feet and we're right around 15. So that's plenty of vertical turning room for a Hornet. So I just redefine the fight and I drop the nose and I start cutting across. And I'm going over to 3 o'clock because now I just want to join on it. I want to see what it is, because we don't have anything that can do that hangs out over the water and then just starts matching you at 300 knots coming up. And it just literally is going right around the circle. So I cut across the circle and I'm right about pulling nose on, and it's inside my canopy bow, and it's between the canopy bow and the HUD, coming right up in the HUD, and you can kind of see it accelerate, and it just disappears right in front of me. It's literally gone. So I'm like, all right, let's just turn back. Let's check out, let's see what the whitewater was. So we turn around, the whitewater's gone. The ocean's just blue, and we're right there. We're right over the top of it. I'm like, all right. So we start turning back this way. So we've done, probably about 40-degree check turn, and then we're coming back this way.
Moments after the object vanished, another call came over the radio from the Princeton. The unknown contact had reportedly reappeared at the fighter's combat air patrol station, approximately 60 miles away. Fravor and Dietrich turned toward the assigned cap point, but despite the radar reports, they were unable to reacquire the object visually before returning to the Nimitz. Back aboard the carrier, the crews quickly debriefed fellow aviators about the encounter. Among those preparing for the next launch cycle were Black Aces, Lieutenant Paige Fellini, and Weapons System Officer Lieutenant Chad Underwood.
So we get done, we come back to the ship, we land, and we're taking off all our gear, and my next crew is getting ready to go for the next go. But Paige was flying, and Chad Nuts was in the back. And we were telling him about it, and Nuts goes, man, I'm going to find that thing.
Determined to investigate the mysterious radar contacts for themselves, their jet departed the carrier configured with the FLIR targeting pod. Once again, controllers aboard the Princeton vectored the aircraft toward an unidentified radar contact that had continued drifting south. As they approached the area designated by the Princeton, Underwood's radar acquired the contact, with the first tracks appearing approximately 30 to 40 nautical miles south of the aircraft. Underwood repeatedly attempted to obtain a single target track, but the radar could not establish a stable lock.
So Nuts goes out, and in the ACS jet, they got the hand controllers, and it's completely decoupled, and so he's got it. So as he goes out, Paige has got the autopilot on, and they're driving towards our cap point, and Nuts gets a hit on the radar just to the right of the nose, and he castles it, and the APG-73 will give you all kinds of jam logic. You get strobes, and it gives all of them. It gives velocity gate, range gate, gives a velocity vector, starts spinning around, does all kinds of crazy stuff. As it does it, he immediately, because we got the two radar displays, we got the azimuth elevation and we've got the azimuth range on the right, and he castles with his left controller and goes right to the targeting pod, which is looking down that same line of sight when the radar spits the lock, and that's where he grabs the minute 30 seconds of the TicTac video before it just zooms off the side.
As the radar searched, the FLIR pod remained slave to the radar track and eventually acquired the object, recording the now famous FLIR 1 footage we know today. According to Kevin Day, the events did not end with Commander Fravor's visual encounter or Lieutenant Underwood's FLIR recording on November 14th. He recalled that the anomalous radar contacts continued appearing over the next several days. Curious to see one for himself, Day said he went to the ship's bridge with radar bearing and range data and looked in that direction through binoculars, where he believed he observed one of the objects visually.
After the 14th, we continued to get other groups up until about the 16th of November, and altogether, based on my rough count, we had a total of about 100 objects. I did see him. After the intercept on the 14th, I was going to go up in combat. I was taking notes, of course, and but just to be sure for my own peace of mind, I wanted to take a look with my eyes. My eyeballs don't lie, maybe, and so I got the relative bearing to one of the closest objects. I went up to the bridge on the big eyes. I looked in that piece of sky and I saw what I have to confess and say was just a boring white light in the sky, moving really slow.
Following the encounter, several sailors of the Princeton and Nimitz later described what they believed was an unusual effort to collect information related to the incident. Their accounts differ in detail, but together they paint a consistent picture. One witness recalled a helicopter arriving aboard the Princeton shortly after the incident, carrying several men who were not part of the ship's crew. While some described them as wearing plain clothes, another recalled flight suits bearing U.S. Air Force insignia. Others remembered unfamiliar personnel coming aboard again after the ships returned to Naval Base San Diego. According to the witnesses, these individuals requested or removed various forms of recorded mission data before the ships resumed normal operations. The reported material included radar recordings, classified sensor data, mission recordings, removable brick hard drives from the E-2 Hawkeye aircraft, and according to some witnesses, portions of the ship's logs or deck records documenting the event. Patrick P.J. Hughes explained that the Hawkeye mission recorders were tightly controlled, classified equipment maintained under strict two-person integrity and chain of custody procedures, requiring formal accountability whenever they changed hands. Gary Voorhees similarly recalled signing chain of custody documentation associated with classified material. None of the witnesses interviewed claimed to know the identities of the visitors or the official reason for the collection, and no publicly released government record has confirmed these accounts. Nevertheless, multiple sailors from different duty stations have independently described an unusual collection of data in the hours and days following the incident. More than 2 decades later, the 2004 Nimitz encounter remains one of the most thoroughly documented and widely accepted unidentified aerial incidents in modern history. While many questions remain unanswered, the testimony of those involved continues to provide a remarkable record of what they experienced that day. Whether viewed as an extraordinary technology, a misunderstood military event, or something else entirely, the evidence deserves to be examined carefully and critically. Thank you for watching. I hope this reconstruction has helped present the available evidence in a clear, balanced, and engaging way. If you enjoyed this video, please consider liking, subscribing, and sharing it with others who have an interest in aviation, military history, and unexplained phenomena.